As a quick reminder, today is the very last day that you guys can get Restricted Republic at $60 for the entire first year. This is an amazing offer and basically equates to like $5 a month. But use that code 2020 and it lasts only until midnight tonight. All right. Well, right now, a new financial system is under construction in the private sector. Now, this particular system creates a literal global, and I mean global, task force that monitors your business's climate behaviors. Yes, you heard me right. A task force was created actually by the G20, or it was spearheaded by the G20 back in 2017 when they started working on it. Take a look at this article here on Reuters.com. G20 task force issues framework for climate-related financial disclosure. A group task force set up by G20 has developed a voluntary framework for companies to disclose the financial impact of climate-related risk and opportunities, drawing support from more than 100 companies with $11 trillion of assets. Now, obviously, this was developed back in 2017, but today they are running in full force. And this particular task force, which I'm going to show you, is also working with governments all around the world to enhance their climate policies. So much so that they actually have a stated goal on their website of reaching net zero carbon economy globally. This is a pretty high expectation, needless to say. So let's go on over to this particular task force that was catalyzed by G20. Now, this task force is called the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. Now, here is their actual mission statement. I'm going to read it verbatim. The FSB Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures will develop voluntary, consistent climate-related financial risk disclosures for use by companies in providing information to investors, to lenders, to insurers, and other stakeholders. The task force will consider the physical, liability, and transition risks associated with climate change and what constitutes effective financial disclosures across industries. The work and recommendations of the task force will help companies understand what financial markets want from disclosure in order to measure and respond to climate change risks and encourage firms to align their disclosures with their investors' needs. Now, let's ask the question, what are they actually saying there? Well, in other words, this private sector who works with governments all over the world and central banks funded by banks, the IMF funded by all kinds of big names there, but they basically determine if your business is contributing to climate change and whether or not it's a threat to civilization. Is your business doing something that is bad for climate? Naughty, naughty. If so, right, if they determine that your climate risk assessment, if their climate risk assessment of your company is bad or unsatisfactory, then you can be subject to, well, tax of some sort or higher taxes in area, or you can get denied proper licensing or denied the business, or you'd have to pay certain insurances or even denied insurance, right? These are the kinds of repercussions off this global task force on your company. So if you don't meet their Agenda 2030 standards, then you're in a whole lot of trouble as a business. This is why we need massive attention to this task force, which is basically now up and running and funded. And guess who is their main board member, their chairman? Well, take a look at this guy because he's a Democrat candidate running for president, and he's the chairman of this task force, a Democrat candidate, Mike Bloomberg, the chairman. You see, imagine if, not that he would ever become president, or I don't even think he has a shot in hell, so to speak, but when he's creating task force like this, and pushing the agenda and funding the agenda, this sends up massive alarm bells. Like all my alarm bells are going off. But then when you take a look at some of the other people who are board members on this task force, there's a ton who are bankers or former bankers or involved with central banks. big corporation pulling from behind the scenes, making all the shots. You know, we're coming up with a brand new financial system that is in bed with Agenda 2030 in the United Nations and the fake climate change hoax, right? But let's just dig a little deeper. Who's funding this program? Who's dishing out the money for this organization? Well, you can see TCFD supports. As of December 2019, support for this organization has grown to over 930 organizations, representing a market capitalization of over 11 trillion. This list includes, and I'm just going to scan through some of it there, but the list is 930 names, right? But it includes Canada's government, Chile's government, Sweden, France, the UK, to name a few of the governments that are included, not to mention your big banks like Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, NASDAQ, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, and many, many others are all as actual supporters of this. So in a nutshell, this task force is creating basically the dawn of a new era. Instead of, getting your business and going through and getting your business license, doing what you need to do, now they're attempting, right? It's not official. This is something they're attempting to implement. They want to go through these task force, and say they don't, they can go in a roundabout way and a business can submit through it, because everybody from eBay to Bloomberg are obviously on this list of donors, right? And supporters. So these businesses can go and say, oh, before I do business with Lisa Haven, or before I do business with so-and-so, I want to know, are they climate deniers? Are they do they have any climate behaviors we should be aware of? I mean, it's like they're going to start categorizing people based off their climate actions. I mean, imagine if something like that were implemented. You didn't recycle that paper, you just got a score deducted on your social score. You drove a car further than the allotted miles, you just got deducted on your social climate score. This is a climate score, if you will, for organizations, for businesses. And they're all doing it in the name of saving the planet from a hoax that doesn't even exist. And this is why this video needs to be shared with everyone you know, because it's critical. Especially if you're a new business owner and want to start up a business. They could pull a mountain, they could pull a needle from a haystack and make up whatever reason for denying climate, right? Or if you're a climate denier and you funded science that's against it, well, there's a mark on your record. People know that over in China, they have a social credit score, but we fail to realize that that's already happening right here at home in the United States. In fact, this isn't just for the US. This is a global task force, spearheaded, if you will, by the G20, backed and funded by central banks. And it's terrifying. Anyhow, I want you to share this with everyone you know, get the word out, as I've not heard anyone in the media talking about it. Well, thanks again for tuning in. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed to my channel here, YouTube mass unsubscribes people if you're new. I'm surprised you made it, and I'm so excited and stoked, but you may want to subscribe and hit that bell, because if you don't have the bell checked, it won't get to you. Anyhow, I love you all. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.